Hiya guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make your own flapping bird for our bird week. So this is going to be a lovely card for us to celebrate our lovely flying birds, and we're going to make one of our own for you to keep. So the ingredients that I said that you'd need, or the sort of craft items, are some coloured card, like this stuff here. You only need one sheet of coloured card. So you can pick whatever colour you like. This will be the body of your bird. You also need some paper. If you've got coloured paper, great, or you can just use plain paper, and you can always colour that in later. You're also going to need some scissors, a glue stick, and you also need some colouring pens or pencils, and maybe a pencil or a pen to trace out your outline. So what you're going to do is, first things first, you'll take your coloured card and you're going to need to make this into a template. So you're going to need to fold it in half. I'm going to use a nice yellow colour here, so I've taken it and folded it in half from the top down, so vertically. The next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to make a template out of it, okay, for our body of the bird. So it looks a little bit like this. Looks a bit funny, but you need to draw it from the halfway point of the card. So where it folds over like this, that's where you need to draw your template. So it needs to be right against the edge of the card. So this is where the head will be, then the body, and then you also need the triangular beak just on the side here. So make sure that's separate to the rest of the body of the bird. So just draw a triangle that goes right up to the edge, and we'll use that later. So once you've done that, you're going to need to cut this out. But the way you cut it out is you start from the head, okay, or from the body, but make sure that you cut from the edge of the card so that it's kind of a double bird by the end. So I'm going to keep cutting all the way around, just like this. Okay, so it's starting to come apart like this. You've got both bits of paper, both bits of card there, until eventually you end up with something like this, okay, where it's got both sides as one. Okay, now on your card you're also going to need to have a little slit, and that's what you're going to push your wings through. Okay, so on your template, once you've cut it out, you're also going to need to draw a slit that's about 2 centimeters long, something like that. Okay, nice and straight, and you'll need to cut that slit out on the body of your bird. So just like I've done for this one here, I've got the slit there, and that's where my wings are going to poke through. So my body of my bird is ready to go. I've also cut my beak out, and I've just left this over on the side ready to use later. Don't worry if it comes apart, because it is really narrow where the points meet. We'll be gluing it later anyway, but it just makes it a little bit easier for us. So we've got our body of our bird. Next thing we need to do is make its flapping wings. So this is where your paper comes in. So you need to take both bits of paper and do something that I read is called an accordion fold. So basically folded lots of times in on itself. So starting from the top of the paper, fold down just a tiny bit from the top, just maybe over your finger's length, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to fold it down. The top bit of the paper is folded over the rest. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is turn my paper around and then fold it again. Okay, so I'm starting to see the paper kind of pile up on itself, and again all the way down until my paper ends up looking like this. It's completely folded in on itself. Okay, this is when your wings are ready. Once you've done that, you want to put one of them to one side, because you want to do this for both bits of paper. One to one side, that's going to be our tail for later on. But this one, you're going to want to fold it in half. Okay, so I've got a nice bend there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my wings through that slit on my bird's back, with making sure that the bend is pointing upwards. Okay, so it goes in that way. So just going to poke that through. It's a little bit fiddly. Okay, and then once that's in, I can pull it through until it's all the way in. Okay, and now I can start to open up my wings a little bit so that I've got my bird flapping his lovely wings. Okay, so it's starting to look a little bit like a bird now. What I'm going to need to do is put on my tail next. So I'm going to take my other folded up piece of paper and I'm going to find a halfway point. Okay, and instead of bending it there, I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, so I'm going to find that halfway point and I'm going to cut it just there. So I've now got two separate bits. What I'm going to do now is I am going to glue these bits onto my bird's tail. The way I'm going to do this is different direction to the first one, is I'm going to glue them onto the sides horizontally. Okay, so it's going to be that way up instead of the other way up. Okay, so that's how this one is going to happen. So I'm going to be gluing that onto those sides. So first of all, I'm going to take my piece of glue, take that piece there, and glue that onto one part to glue that initial bit down. Now I have left out one instruction here. You will need a little bit of sellotape as well. I've forgotten about that bit there. So I've got it glued down just like this, but what I need to do is secure this end down as well so that it looks like that, so that it fans outwards. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of tape, and what this will do is enable it to kind of fan outwards so that it looks like a proper bird's tail. So I'm going to take, don't need much, just about this much tape, cut that off there. And I can see that this bit's already nice and secure, but I'm just going to secure the end on there so that it can fan out and it's not just completely spread out. So what I'm going to do now is put some tape over this bit here onto my bird. So I've got one half of my bird's tail, and now I need it on the other side. So I'm going to take the other piece, and again I'm going to glue, put a bit of glue on one end and stick it to the other side of the bird's body. There we go. Oop. There we are. And next I'm going to add that bit of sellotape on there as well. And what should happen now is we should have a lovely fanned out tail for our bird to fly with. There we go. And a bit of tape on there. And just stretch those out a little bit. Lovely. Okay, so I've got my bird's tail and I've got my bird's wings. Now it just needs to look a little bit more like a bird, doesn't it? So this is the bit where you can get decorating. So you can add on some eyes, you can add on a nice chest, but the first thing that we're going to do is add on this beak. So this can get glued on. You could always use a different colour for the beak if you wanted to. It doesn't need to be the same colour as the card. So you could always use a different card colour. So I'm going to use from a different card. I'm going to cut out from this other template so you can see the difference. A bit of a lighter coloured beak, a bit of a contrast. And so that our beak looks the same on both sides. Let's get that a little bit out there. We're going to kind of glue them together so that it's still reflected on both sides of the bird. Okay. So I'm going to put glue on one side, on one beak. Depends if your beak has come apart or not. This one has. Okay, so I'm going to put that on the front of my bird, on that side there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my other bit of beak, and I'm going to put a bit of glue on that one too. And then I'm going to take it and put it right against this side of my beak. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that in there so that they line up and that they're glued together. Okay, so I've ended up with my beak being stuck together just like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend a little bit of time decorating my bird using some different colours and things, and we'll see how it turns out at the end. And there you have it. So I've added some kind of bluey flecks, a nice bright blue eye, and a little red chest, a bit like a robin on my one. Don't forget to decorate both sides, but it's totally up to you how you want to decorate your bird. And of course you can make more once you've learned from your first one, and hopefully enjoy seeing them be lovely kind of ornaments. You could always like hang it up outside if you want to brighten up the outdoor space that you guys have got. But yeah, just a bit of fun to enjoy our lovely birds. Of course, if you have any luck making some of these crafts, then please send me some pictures or bring them to our quiz session on Friday, or any week, so I can see the lovely things that you've enjoyed doing. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.